Trying to take us to go live.
Okay. We're going live. All right. All right. All right. Welcome everyone to Wellness Wednesdays. We want to give some people the time to get on because I know we had some technical challenges, but I'm not surprised with the topic that we're going to start talking about today. Who knows? Anything could happen when it comes to that. So we're just going to take a few minutes to welcome everyone on. We have an amazing guest today. I'm excited to learn about what we're going to talk about today. And so I want to welcome you. My name is Dr. Tina McCrae. Welcome to the WATM Cares Wellness Wednesday. And why do we do this? What's the purpose of it and what is it? It's brought to you on behalf of BJM Dementia Services. That's Barbara Jean Metcalf Dementia Services. And we are partners with Alter Dementia. And what do? We alter the way we treat people with dementia when it comes to creating community, when it comes to worshiping, when it comes to understanding care partners and people living with dementia. So we are bringing educational opportunities. We're helping you to stay sharp and to have a good time as you learn. So we want to create a space of fellowship. We want to do fun while learning. We want to make sure your felt needs are met. So when you share what people share with us, what their needs are, we meet those needs. We are navigators for people who are dealing with dementia and their care partners. And we make sure that we share things about the Word of God here. And we want you to feel like you've been heard. So there are things that people need to know. Laws are changing, types of things are happening. And when people are seniors, that's when they are most vulnerable. I won't say just seniors, any of us. Shoot, if you got a phone and you're able to click on something, you could be the one that, and you're able to get Medicare or Medicaid, you could be eligible for a cyber, a sneak, a fish, or what have you. So I don't want to take over my guest thunder, but we do want to put up this disclaimer saying that if we talk about anything that deals with dementia, or any type of thing like that, we are adapting things from AARP, staying sharp. We adapt information from Alta Dementia, and all these activities are educational, informational, and for you to enjoy a good time, something, learn while having fun. So we're not replacing your primary caregiver, your primary care doctor, your neurologist, any of your physicians. We're not doing that. Anything that we do is for you to learn, to grow, and to go forward. In this, we always bring up the AARP staying sharp about sustaining your brain health. And I believe this one is dealing with engaging your brain because you're learning something new. When we engage our brain, the six pillars of brain health, of sustaining a healthy brain behavior is being social, connecting with someone, engaging your brain, not just by doing a crossword puzzle, but actually causing that brain to learn something new and by doing something new and managing stress, ongoing exercise, restorative sleep. And we've talked about a lot of these, and we make sure we incorporate them in each of our sessions and eating right. So we're going to engage our brains by listening to our special guest tonight, and we're going to learn something new, right? So tonight I want to introduce you to my special guest. I met this awesome gentleman at an event, at a Juneteenth event in, where were we? Columbus, Georgia. And I want to introduce you all to Nathan Coflin. And he's got this title that's amazing. You're going to have to tell people because I try to memorize it.
It's okay.
But I want to turn this over to you so you can start sharing with people. But Nathan is with Senior Medicare Patrols, SMP, and they empower and assist Medicare beneficiaries, their families, and caregivers to prevent, detect, and report healthcare fraud, errors, and abuse. So we want to make sure that we put great information in your hands, and I know you're going to be in good hands with Nathan. Nathan, I want to welcome you to our Wellness Wednesday program. Thank you for joining us tonight.
I am incredibly glad to be here. Thank you, Dr. McCree. Appreciate that.
Yes, so I'm going to stop sharing, and I want you to tell everyone about, SMP. What does that stand for? What do you do, and how did you get started?
Absolutely. So, the Senior Medicare Patrol Program is funded through the federal government to empower Medicare beneficiaries and their caregivers prevent, detect, and report fraud. I'm the state lead for the outreach specialist in the state of Georgia. But if you are in any US state or US territory, there is an S&P program where you live. So today I'm going to be able to talk to you a little bit about the S&P program, what it is, how it works, and how you can help us fight fraud in the Medicare system. I hope I do a good job for y'all because later this month I will be back for the next Wellness Wednesday session talking more about scams generally. Today it's going to be Medicare fraud focused, but my next presentation will be about a lot of scams that yourself or maybe your parents or grandparents, aunts, uncles, or even the kids, frankly, could encounter online. So just like you already had a disclaimer up, I also have a disclaimer. This disclaimer just states we are funded through the federal government through a grant from the Administration for Community Living. But anything I say today are my opinions and don't inherently reflect the guidance or opinions of the federal government or ACL. So who are we? Who is S&P? We're funded by the Administration for Community Living. Uh, any of y'all that know anything about grant funding, whether you're watching this live or watching this after the fact, probably can empathize that for the past 6 months or so, anytime I mention that we were federally funded, I get kind of an uh-oh look due to a lot of the cuts that are happening currently in the federal government. But so far, so good with the S&P program. It's been around for, I think this is its 26th year. And our mission is to empower and assist Medicare beneficiaries, their families, and caregivers to prevent, detect, and report healthcare fraud, errors, and abuse through outreach, counseling, and education. Although there is an SMP program in every state, as I mentioned, the nonprofit I work for, Advisable Incorporated, we have the grant in Georgia, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Vermont. But any state's SMP program is ran very similar with the same mission. So this is for Georgia specifically. So we have 5 paid staff members in the state of Georgia. Myself, I'm the state lead. I live in Conyers, Georgia. Usually you'll see me on the south side of Atlanta as my kind of home base territory, the south side of Atlanta counties. Miss Sharmori Lewis, she's in our Augusta area. Mr. Jose Pinto is in Marietta. He handles North Atlanta Metro up through the state lines of Tennessee and Carolinas. Brenda Garrett is in the Savannah area. And Mr. Ravine Stewart is in our Albany, Georgia area, handling the rural parts of South Georgia. We do serve and educate all of Georgia's 159 counties. But again, if you're not in Georgia, your state has an S&P program that does work very similar. So what do? We conduct outreach and education. We do presentations to groups. Typically, my presentations are in person. You'll see me in places like senior centers, senior living communities, church groups. Sometimes they're online, like I'm doing today, which I'm also happy to do. But if you like what I have to say today and you're interested in having me or one of my team members come present to your group in person, whether it be a church group or a senior living community or a Lions Club, men's club, women's club, please contact us. We're happy to send somebody out to do it in person. We also exhibit at events. That's where I met Dr. McCrae at the event there in Columbus. And we work one-on-one with Medicare beneficiaries. And we receive those complaints. We help people determine if fraud, errors, or abuse is suspected. If needed, work with providers on behalf of the beneficiary. And then we refer to the appropriate state or federal agencies for further investigation if we suspect fraud. Here's just some photos of the team in the community. There on the left, Mr. Jose Pinto. He's at a We Care Vet Fair in Rome, Georgia, last year. There in the middle is one of our volunteers, Mr. Mark Becker. I believe he is in Forsyth County in that photo. And on the right there is Miss Brenda Garrett in one of our counties outside of Savannah. And in addition to the paid staff you've seen, we also engage volunteers. So if you know someone, it's usually retired people, but not necessarily. We have to be retired, looking to volunteer some time. We would love to have them, call us and talk about volunteering for us. They receive trainings to give presentations or table community events, and they participate in monthly webinars and other activities. And we do treat our volunteers especially well. I would say one thing that's a little special about our volunteer program that most volunteer programs don't offer is we pay back mileage. So we don't want our volunteers paying anything out of pocket. If they have to travel somewhere to attend an event or to give a presentation, we don't expect them to pay that gas money. We reimburse them the full federal reimbursement rate for any gas they use. And here's some volunteers, our photos. There on the left, that is last year at the Capitol Grill for our volunteer appreciation lunch in April of 2024. Miss Lynn, Mr. Mark there in the middle, Miss Lynn's on the left, and our volunteer coordinator, Sunny Lawless, there on the right, who's also our assistant S&P director, is able to join us. In the middle there is Mr. Michael. We are at an event in Winder, I believe, in that photo. And then on the right is Mr. Mark again up in Canton, Georgia, to one of our events. Did you know Medicare loses 60 to 90 billion dollars every year due to fraud, waste, and abuse? That is billion with a B, which is the exact reason why we are funded to try to fight that fraud. And we're not going to stop all the fraud in Medicare. I know we're not, but we want to take a bite out of it. And to do that effectively, we need your help. And we don't need your money. Your tax dollars already paid for us. We want your efforts. And we'll go into some more details about how you can help us prevent, detect, and report that fraud during today's presentation. Examples of Medicare fraud: billing for services or supplies that were not provided, misrepresenting a diagnosis or other information to justify payment, providing unsolicited supplies to beneficiaries, prescribing or providing excessive or unnecessary medical testing. Now we're going to get some examples of some common Medicare scams. If you are an older adult, you probably deal with these scammers on a daily basis, even if you're not an older adult. We had a great conversation a few weeks ago, me and Dr. McCrae, about how anyone can get scammed, whether you're young or old. You can be 28 or 88. You can be a potential victim of a scam, but the older you get, the more and more these scammers tend to target you. And a big thing I like to focus on during my presentations is destigmatize being a victim of a scam. It can truly happen to anybody. And if you are a victim, it doesn't mean that you're an idiot or a dummy or any of those things. It just means a scammer's got the better of you. Maybe it's a scam you haven't heard of. These scammers are really good at what they do. They're professional scammers. Maybe, these scammers might try to target you 2,000 times this year, or 1,999 times you don't fall for it. That one day they get the better of you. And that happens. Give yourself some grace to say, hey, I made a mistake, and then try to figure out what you can do in the long run. One thing I love it when my seniors do, when they own up to their mistakes, they talk about how they were a victim. I think it helps get the word out there for other people to say, hey, if it can happen to them, it can happen to anybody. Durable medical equipment scam. So I've had this job since 2018. And over the years, I would say a lot of the scams have come and gone. Scams pop up for a while, and then eventually they go away for one reason or another. But these DME, durable medical equipment scams, have been a constant. Probably one of the most common scams, if not the most common scam we hear about. DME stands for durable medical equipment and includes things like knee braces and back braces. Not all scams start over the phone, but frequently they do start over the phone. Phone calls come from scammers claiming to be from senior benefits offering free durable medical equipment. Now, we always say free is kind of a loaded term. If someone tells you something is free, then they ask you for your insurance information, like your Medicare or Medicaid number, That's them telling you it's not actually free. That's them saying, it might cost you nothing. We plan on billing your Medicare or Medicaid for that service or device. We want you always talking with your doctor about your needs for medical equipment, not someone over the phone. Quite often, they over the phone, they will sometimes even say they spoke with your doctor's office. That's typically not true. You want to be very mindful to really not offer that Medicare number over the phone because these scammers are quite clever and they know what to say and what to offer you to make it sound like it's a really good deal for you. When in reality, although these disreputable companies have doctors that work for them, so Medicare will sign off on the service or device, it's not actually a medically necessary service or device you need. Say, you might have back pain. A lot of times they will call and say, "We spoke with your doctor's office. We know you report back pain." Now, they had not spoken with your doctor's office. They're taking a stab in the dark because in their database, they have you being over a certain age. The chances of you having back pain are pretty high. I'm in my 30s. I have back pain. Unfortunately, I don't suspect that's going to get any better as I get older. And, back pain is a very common issue for older adults. But they say you can get a free back brace. But these doctors that work for these companies don't know anything about your back pain. They haven't examined you. They don't know how tall you are, how much you weigh. Is your back pain upper back pain? Is it lower back pain? So that back brace typically is not medically necessary or medically appropriate for your needs. And at the end of my presentation, we'll get a little more into the details of what you can do if you are a victim of a scam like this. Urinary catheter scams. This is the opposite. I would say this is a scam we had not even heard of until about a year ago, I would say. Maybe a little more than a year now. The spring of 2024. Wasn't a scam that ever, honestly, barely existed, but then it went through the roof. How the scam works is regardless of medical need, disreputable companies bill Medicare for urinary catheters. The catheters may or may not actually be sent. That's a red flag we tell people to look out for. If you start getting medical supplies, or maybe your mom or dad or neighbor starts getting medical supplies showing up in their mailbox or at their doorstep they did not order, you want to check and see, is your Medicare paying for those supplies? Because these companies aren't typically sending those out for free, and especially if they don't need those supplies. This includes diabetic supplies, things of that nature. If you're getting medical supplies showing up at your door you did not order, you want to look into it a little bit more to see where are those medical supplies coming from and how are these companies being paid. And the best way to check to see if your Medicare is paying for those supplies is reviewing your Medicare statements. If you are someone on a Medicare Advantage plan, could be through Kaiser, Humana, United Healthcare, Sonder health plans, a lot of plans out there. You get an EOB, explanation of benefits. It shows what your Medicare is paid for. If you are on straight Medicare, like the red, white, and blue card, you get a Medicare summary notice. Same similar type of document. It's just showing you what your Medicare is paying for. With EOBs come after service, the MSNs typically come once every 3 months. Do not accept delivery, if possible, of unordered equipment. A lot of times you don't have an option. They just leave it at your doorstep. But if it's something that someone's delivered to you, you have to sign for it, you can always decline shipment. Be suspicious of any solicited offers for free medical equipment, including urinary catheters. There's that word free again. Even I, to be honest, sometimes I slip up and say my services and what S&P does is free. I shouldn't even say that because even though we cost you nothing now when I give my presentations, costs nothing. When I am out there, when we're getting reports trying to advocate for Medicare beneficiaries about this fraud, we don't charge anything, but your tax dollars already paid for it. More accurate is we're no cost to you now. Free is a term you want to just be very leery of if someone says free. It doesn't mean nothing's free, but a lot of times there's a catch. New Medicare card scams. So just like a lot of times these individuals call you on the phone and say they're with senior benefits, they might call and say they're with Medicare themselves. If someone calls you and says they're with Medicare, that's an immediate red flag to hang up the phone. Anyone calling you claiming to be from Medicare is not actually Medicare. And the scammers are pretty good. A lot of times, they almost always are going to call you from an area code local to where you live or local to where your phone number is based. Example, I live in Conyers, Georgia, but I grew up in Virginia, and my cell phone number is still a Virginia number. I've had it for 15 years now, probably. Uh, and I don't know many people in Virginia anymore outside of my parents. And when I get a phone call and it shows a Virginia number, I can almost guarantee that's going to be a scam phone call. But these scammers rightfully determine you're more likely to pick up the phone if the number is calling from an area code you recognize, with the area code you live in. If it's you got a phone call and it said it was coming from Omaha, Nebraska, you might think, I don't know anyone in Nebraska. I'm not going to pick up the phone. But they call you from a local number. And usually there's a little delay between when you say hello and they say something back. And why that is these are machines dialing these numbers. As soon as the machine detects you picked up the phone, it sends it over to a live person. And that can take a second or two to happen. But they'll say they're with Medicare and you are getting a new Medicare card, or they are doing some type of audit of your Medicare records. And they want some information from you to get your new Medicare card. And they'll say your new Medicare card now will be made out of plastic. It won't be made out of paper anymore. And they'll say it'll have a chip in it. And they'll even scare you and say, if you don't, say your Medicare, your current Medicare card is not going to work anymore. So you need to get this new one. And they'll want to confirm some information. They'll want to confirm your name. They'll want to confirm your address, probably. And most importantly, they're going to want to confirm your Medicare number. In the wrong hands, a Medicare number can be just as valuable to a thief as a credit card number. So we want you to guard that number just as closely. Medicare will never call and ask you for your Medicare number. If you receive a call from someone asking you to verify your Medicare or Social Security information, hang up the phone immediately. Medicare enrollment scams. So, depending on what Medicare plan you're on, there are different times of the year you may be able to switch your plans. Maybe you're someone turning 65 soon and you have to enroll in Medicare. Medicare, I love the Medicare program. I think it's been a fantastic program for a lot of people. But to be honest with you, I think it's a confusing program. It just is. There's a lot of ins and outs of it, and scammers use that to their advantage. From October to December every year is the Medicare open enrollment season, which allows anyone on Medicare to change their plan. Scammers know that's happening, and scammers see dollar signs during that time of year. The phone calls tend to ramp up. Beneficiaries receive a phone call or otherwise approached about switching their Medicare plan. These individuals contacting them about switching their plan may not have their best interest in mind and may switch them into a plan not appropriate for their finances or medical needs. So, and it's not always necessarily a scam. It's the devil's in the details. There's no one best Medicare plan for everyone. A couple of years ago, I finally got rid of cable TV. Cable is expensive. But I'm the kind of person, when I'm doing my work or I'm working on my computer, doing my case notes, I like to have some noise on in the background, usually the TV set. But I still watch TV even though I don't have cable, but now I watch it through my antenna or my Pluto TV free app. And I'm kind of an old soul. I like watching the Me TV station that plays the old Mama's Family sitcoms and things like that. Or I watch the Buzzer network that plays all the old match games from the 70s. Because of the shows those channels tend to show, most of the commercials, if not all of them, are aimed towards older adults. And a lot of them are Medicare commercials. And they're not scams, but there's no one best Medicare plan for everyone. They'll have Joe Namath on there or Jimmy J.J. Walker saying, this is a dynamite plan. Switch to this plan. It's the best Medicare plan you can get. And, it's an ad. And it's not a scam, but there's some half truths in there, things that might not apply to you. What Medicare plan is best for you depends on a lot of things. Depends on things like your finances, your medical needs, health conditions. Where you live matters a lot. You might live somewhere in, say you live in DeKalb County, Georgia, outside of Atlanta. And your sister, she lives in Macon, Georgia. Same state, but different Medicare plans may be offered to each of you depending on where you live. Even closer than that, I live in Conyers, Georgia. I might have family in right 20 minutes of the interstate, up 20 in Covington, Georgia. They might have different plans offered to them just based on their zip code alone. How we can fight these Medicare enrollment scams is talking to trusted resources when making changes to their Medicare plan. I'm not here to talk bad about Medicare brokers or Medicare agents. There are many, if I would almost say most, if I can. Medicare brokers and agents are ethical and they're doing the right thing for their clients. They're not crooks, they're not scammers. They are running a legitimate business, doing a legitimate job. But it takes a handful of people that aren't doing that job legitimately. A red flag versus a green flag. I would say a red flag is someone talking to you just over the phone. I don't like that. If it was me or my parents, I want to talk to someone in person. I know where their office is at. If I had issues that pop up, that I can reach them easily. But there's actually a program that's a sister program to the S&P program that I work for called the SHIP program, SHIP. The SHIP program is State Health Insurance Assistance Program. They're who is on the back of the Medicare and Me handbook even. It's who the government funds to help you navigate the Medicare system. They're not a broker. They're not an agent. They don't sell plans. They don't even put you in a plan. They provide you with the guidance to help navigate that so you're making an informed decision. And you can visit, if you're in any state other than Georgia, you can go to shiphelp.org to find the contact information for your particular state. If you are in Georgia, you can always call the hotline number you see on your screen, 866-552-4464. SHIP is, like I said, totally unbiased. They are there to help you navigate the Medicare system, and they don't charge anything because just like S&P, your tax dollars already paid for it. They're funded from a federal grant through the Administration for Community Living. I want to get now to the 3 keys to success in preventing Medicare fraud, errors, and abuse. I will have time after my presentation to take any questions you might have if you're in this room live today. If you're watching this recorded, I will have my contact information at the end of the presentation. You can call me or email me to have your questions addressed. So the 3 keys to success in preventing fraud, errors, and abuse: prevent, detect, and report. Prevent Medicare fraud. Share your Medicare number only when necessary, such as at a doctor's office or pharmacy. And be careful because these scammers are clever. I've had reports recently of people getting phone calls, like here right where I live in the Conyers, Georgia area, with their caller ID. It says Piedmont Health Systems. It's calling. That's the most prominent health system here in this county in Rockdale. And most people have a hospital or a doctor they go to that's in that system. Someone was calling, pretending to be from the Piedmont Health System, saying they're trying to verify and confirm some medical record information to keep your records up to date. That was not Piedmont calling. That was someone impersonating Piedmont. So we can't always trust our caller ID. So guard that Medicare number closely. And if you ever feel skeptical, hang up the phone. Call up your doctor's office or hospital directly. If you're making that outbound call and you're knowing you're calling the actual number of the hospital you're trying to call, it's going through to the actual hospital or doctor. The caller ID can't always be trusted. Only carry your Medicare card with you when you know you will need to use it. Some people fight me on this tip, and I get their point of view, but I would say at least this. If you're on a Medicare Advantage plan, that's Humana, Kaiser, all those companies spoke up before, that's the card you're going to want to show when you go to the doctor's office. So at bare minimum, if you're on an Advantage plan, you do not need to have the red, white, and blue card on you. Take that card. You want to keep it somewhere safe, but you don't need it in your purse or your wallet. And it can be especially confusing. Sometimes when you go to a doctor's office and maybe the person working the desk isn't as experienced, maybe they're new, and you kind of give them all your cards. If you're on an Advantage plan, they try to bill your red, white, and blue Medicare card number. It's probably going to mess up. It's not going to go through correctly. Their bill insurance is not going to be handled properly. So that red, white, and blue card, you don't not need it at all, but you don't need it on you. Keep it somewhere safe at home. Remember, Medicare will not call you and ask for your Medicare number for any reason. And keep records of all medical visits and procedures that take place and medical equipment ordered. Detect Medicare fraud. Remember, review your Medicare summary notices, also known as MSNs, or explanation of benefits, also known as EOBs, for inaccurate information, such as medical appointments you did not attend or were double billed for, medical equipment like braces, catheters, or diabetic supplies you did not order or did not receive. And report suspected fraud, errors, and abuse. A lot of times when I'm out in the community giving my presentations, people will say, "I've never heard of S&P before." And to be honest with you, before I worked for S&P, I had not heard of S&P before. Again, it's been around for about 26 years now, but people don't know what it is that we do. They tell me they've noticed suspicious charges on their Medicare statements, and they've tried calling Medicare themselves, and they have to wait on hold for a very long time. And they finally get through to someone, and the person they get through to isn't that helpful in addressing their issue. But S&P, we have a hotline number, the 877-272-8720 number you see on your screen. Monday through Friday from 9 to 5, we typically have a live person answer that phone. So we're very easy to get a hold of. If you receive a suspicious call from someone asking for your Medicare number information, hang up the phone. Unfortunately, we can't stop the phone calls. People always ask if we can, and I wish that we could. We don't have that ability. But you can always, if you see like a mistake on your Medicare statement, you think you've been billed incorrectly for something, and it's a doctor's office you go to a lot, it's a doctor's office you trust, it might be not fraud, it might be a mistake. We encourage you, if you're comfortable, before you call us, you can always call your provider or plan if you have questions about that appointment. If you feel like your doctor's office that you think billed you wrong is giving you the runaround, you still think it's incorrect, they're not willing to fix it, then you can call our hotline number. Or maybe if you're not comfortable calling them first to begin with, you can always call us first too. Call us if you suspect that fraud against your Medicare, or maybe you don't know for sure it's fraud. Maybe you're kind of suspicious about it. You're like, I don't know. It kind of seems, I don't know if it's fraud or not. I don't want to bother anybody. Bother us because you're not going to bother us. We want to hear from you. Frankly, most of these scams go undetected. Most people don't check their Medicare statements, especially if you're someone that has very good insurance. I always tell people, I love my job. I don't have very good insurance. I have a copay for everything. And if I'm paying something out of pocket, even if it's 10 bucks, 20 bucks, I'm always double and triple checking what I'm paying for. But if you have insurance and maybe you're on Medicare or Medicaid together, or you have a supplemental plan, or like my father, you're retired military, or you're on Medicare, but you also have TRICARE for life as your secondary, picking up what Medicare doesn't cover, meaning you don't have very few, if any, out-of-pocket costs. You're going to be much less likely to realize when you're getting scammed on your Medicare unless you're checking those statements because nothing's coming out of your pocket. But if you see something funny on that statement, you think it might be wrong, you're looking for red flags, like maybe if you typically go see Dr. Smith every month, and now you have a Dr. Jones popping up on those statements, you're like, who's Dr. Jones? I don't know who that is. It could be fraud. Not necessarily, but it could be. And if you can't figure out what it is or who that doctor is, why they're billing your Medicare, give our hotline number a call, the 877-272-8720 number. And volunteer to help protect Medicare and seniors. Again, we are always looking for volunteers. And if you're not in Georgia, I can probably guarantee whatever state you are in, their state is also looking for volunteers. And we really appreciate our volunteers. A lot of times, seniors, and most of our volunteers are seniors themselves, connect with other seniors on a level that I'm not always able to. And it's really important that they're out there advocating for the S&P program as well and advocating for their peers. It's really important to have as many volunteers as we can to get the word out there. And we let you let us know how often you want to volunteer. We have some volunteers that want to be doing something every week with us. And we try to make that happen. We have other volunteers, they volunteer. Well, one of our best volunteers, Mr. Mark, he's also volunteers at the Veterans Cemetery in Canton. And so he's got a lot on his plate. He doesn't want to be doing things, every week. And that's okay. He contributes a lot to us, but he lets us know how often he wants to volunteer and participate. Sometimes when you're a more experienced volunteer, we send you to do things solo. You're doing, making presentations in the community by yourself. You're maybe tabling a health fair or expo by yourself. But when you're newer, maybe not quite so comfortable just yet, we have you do it with us, with paid staff, where you're kind of shadowing us to get acclimated to the program. We're always offering bi-monthly webinars and trainings throughout the year. If you're interested in volunteering for our program, you can call the 877-272-8720 hotline number, the same number you would call to report potential fraud, errors, and abuse. Follow us on Facebook and other social media platforms. If you are on Facebook, feel free to look us up on there, Georgia Senior Medicare Patrol. We post about the latest scams that are happening. We'll post about these certain events we're going to be at. I like to post about when those scammers are caught and prosecuted for scamming Medicare. We try to keep things up to date on there. We're also on YouTube. We have our webinars. We do monthly, the webinar Wednesdays. We put those on there. Feel free to scan the QR code on your screen to have a link pop up that directs you to those websites. This is a great kind of precursor to my next presentation I'll be giving here at Wellness Wednesdays about scams that happen online. Facebook is full of scams, and so is all kinds of social media. So I'll be touching on that more during my next Wellness Wednesdays presentation. And together we can fight Medicare fraud. So to recap, Senior Medicare Patrol Program, we are a nonprofit program funded by your tax dollars trying to fight fraud in the Medicare system. That Medicare fraud is estimated to be between 60 and 90 billion dollars. We cannot effectively fight that fraud without the reports of people like yourself. You can always report that fraud to our 877-272-8720 hotline number. And we also need access to the seniors that you work with, the seniors in your community. People don't know what S&P is. And luckily, churches, senior centers, they do a great job at protecting their seniors from outsiders that might not have their best interest in mind. People see Medicare in our name and they'll assume that I'm a Medicare broker or agent. I'm someone trying to come in there and push something on their seniors. We don't sell anything. We don't even take donations. It's all educational. So if you're looking for a speaker for your group, and that could be a very, I just did a conference this past week. It was probably, 500 people. And that's great if it can reach that many. But maybe you have a much smaller group. Maybe it's a ladies group from your church or a men's group, and you have 10 people in the group. That's perfectly fine. Invite us to that as well. The more we can get the word out, the better. If you also can check out our website at stopmedicarefraud.org for more information about the S&P program. And you can also report fraud on the website if you prefer doing it that way over calling the hotline number. At this point, I will take any questions that you might have for me. Dr. McCrae, that includes you. I'm happy to address any questions or comments you may have. You're muted, Dr. McCrae.
There we go. All right. This was amazing. I tell you, I think you're still sharing your screen. I don't know if you want to
Sure.
or not.
Let me stop that sharing. You're absolutely right.
Oh yeah, you're getting all kind of applause and everything out there.
Thank you.
You're getting, and listen, there are people you're on. We want to thank those who are on Facebook Live. If you're on YouTube Live, put your comments in and questions. If there's some, Gina can come off mute. Maybe if she's on. I don't know if I'll see her. But if there's questions out there on YouTube Live or Facebook Live, We
And
want
let
to
me
get
share
those
my screen one
questions.
more time because I didn't put my contact information up there for y'all,
Oh,
unfortunately.
yes, yes. And
That was
there's
my
so
last slide
much.
I did not get to. So I'm going to
Oh,
get
good. Good,
that
good, good.
one. I hope you can see it on my screen now. That's
We
my contact
can.
information. So you can
Yes.
always call our hotline number to get in contact with me. They'll put you in contact with me if need be. But if you want to have a more direct line, that is my personal cell phone number on the screen, the 470-588-5252. You can call or text that number. Or my email address is probably the best way to reach me. That NCOFLIN at advisewell.org.
Nathan, it exceeded our expectations. I mean, the information that you shared was so eye-opening. We got some notes in here, some comments that said this was so informative. But when I tell you this exceeded our expectations, the information that you provided, I mean, I know for me personally, I feel more secure. There's things that I had no idea about. I mean, I could go back and recap all the stuff you said. What we're going to do is going to take the YouTube recording and put this on our Keep the Fire Burning group. We have a group there. We'll make sure it's on our Instagram page for Without a Trace Ministries. And we know that people can play this back on YouTube and on Facebook. But we want to get this out everywhere. And it's going to also be on the radio program that I have, Truth of the Day with Coach Tina McCrae. Because when I tell you, you gave us some empowering truth. Today, we were empowered with information to be able to secure ourselves. And some of the scams, like getting stuff. The word you said was free is not really free. And we love that word free, and we
I do.
look for free. But there's some things that's really not free. If it's free, it may not be. And so somebody needs to say, no cost to you, but it doesn't mean it's free. Somebody's paying for it. I even say salvation is not free. Somebody paid for it. Somebody died. Jesus died that we might be set free. So there was a cost. There's always a cost to everything. So you got to ask that question. And just so many things. So there was something I wanted to ask you though.
Sure.
You said that if somebody calls and there was a couple times you said when somebody calls and they act like they are Medicare, and you say, okay, hang up, or if they act like they're from the doctor's office, people get, oh, well, this must be my doctor's office. Well, they say, well, I don't recall that, so let me call my doctor's office, and then I'll get back to you, right? But you
Yeah,
don't have to give any information, right?
I do recommend that because if you're placing the outbound call, you know you're going through to the actual phone number. But be careful because again, these scammers, they're pros, right? Especially maybe you don't have your doctor's office programmed in your phone. And it's very easy. I've this has almost gotten me a couple of times. I'll Google, I'm trying to. I got good example, like Microsoft customer service. I have a problem with my computer, so I Google Microsoft customer service number. If you're not careful, the first few results that pop up are not actually Microsoft.
That's
You
true.
have to look really careful. So if I'm calling this number that I, very quickly Googled Microsoft customer service, it puts me through to a company that is not only up and up, it's a shady company. And it's, I didn't do my due diligence to see it was actually Microsoft's website. And I'm put through to a company and a phone number that's not really going to where I want to go to. So, you want to make sure you're calling the correct number. You're making sure that, Google's your friend, but scammers use Google to their advantage too. So, you
Hmm.
have to make a outbound call to your doctor's office, to Medicare, making sure you're dialing the correct actual customer service number. And some of y'all in the crowd listening to me today may be extremely tech savvy. I'm a millennial, but I know seniors are tech savvier than I am. It just depends. But even us people that are tech savvy, it just takes a very quick mistake to mess up and end up talking to someone who is not only up and up.
This is true. I mean, I'm in the IT and operations industry, and I've done what you said. Google a help desk, a support group, and then get ready to call and realize I didn't read. The keyword is pause and read because I
Yes,
didn't read that was not the company and call the number, and then they try to sell me their service when they weren't that company or they
yes,
wanted my information. So this is so Very informative again. I can't thank you enough. I know people are eager for next week because I know I am. And I don't know if people on the line on the Zoom, do you have any questions for Nathan before we close out?
And one great thing about my program is if you don't have any questions for me now, of course, contact me later. You'll have my contact information. But you can always call the hotline number. The ladies that run our hotline number know just as much, if not more than I do. So, if you don't have anything right now, you're like, oh, I should have asked that, keep our hotline number handy as a resource to reach out to them at a later time. And again, if maybe you don't know if it's a scam, I want to talk to someone about it. You can certainly call us. It doesn't have to be certainly a scam. If you just want to kind of bounce some ideas off someone about what might be a scam, what might be fraud, what might not be, we do want to hear from you.
Yes, and remember that hotline number is 877-272-8720. That's 877-272-8720 from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right?
Yes, ma'am. And call us after hours, leave us a message. We'll certainly call you back.
Yes. And if you need to go to the website to report something or get some help, remember that other website, the State Health Insurance Assistance Program, shiphelp.org. And
Correct.
one of the things, Nathan, I found when I was looking for Medicare support with my mom was a broker, because a broker really did not have, they didn't get money for pushing me to one person or the other. So
Correct.
they could give me a whole broad spectrum of all the different companies and I could see everything. And that person actually came to the home and met with us in person, like you said, and we could look at stuff
Green
together.
flags. Absolutely.
So if they don't have time, that's with anybody. Anybody that tries to sell me something and they can't see me in person. If I ask you to come to oh no, don't call me anymore. That's it, right? So this was again so good. I don't want to hold us any longer. We are at time, and we will be back here next week. If you have questions or comments in the YouTube, we apologize for the late start, but next week we will be ready. And if you have questions or comments in the Facebook chat, I will make sure I get those, or to in YouTube. We'll make sure we get those to Nathan, and he'll be able to address them next week.
Yeah,
Or
absolutely.
he is so personable, he'll get back to you.
I
So
sure will.
your contact information, you can inbox us. I want to share that how you can contact us at Without Trace Ministry, so that way, if somebody needs something, they can contact us. I have a couple of announcements, Nathan, we forgot to talk about, and I have it up to share. So I want to make sure we do that. Um, this one, you have an event coming up on tomorrow, right?
Yes.
So I want you to talk about that event because some people may be in the area and can go to this event.
Please do. So I appreciate you bringing that up. The Senior Medicare Patrol Program, we've been partnering with the Secretary of State's office in Georgia, Brad Raffensperger's office, doing some Savvy Senior events. They're about financial wellness and fraud prevention. They're free to attend. Our next one is tomorrow in Pine Mountain, Georgia. It's early, 8:30 in the morning, but if you're anywhere near Pine Mountain, we'd love to have you come out. There'll be a meal served. You can register for free at the website there, the sos.ga.gov. You'll see that website there, or you can just show up day of. We'd love to have you there. There'll be some educational panels hosted by Donna Laurie. She's a fantastic journalist here in the Atlanta metro area. We'll have some really good information for you and some free food about fraud prevention and scam awareness. And this is just financial wellness, but nothing sold there. It's all the Secretary of State's office is the one running the show, but we've been partnering with them. It'll be a really great event.
And this is it out there at Callaway Gardens?
It is
That's
beautiful
where
vineyard,
Pine
Callaway
Mountain is. So if
Gardens.
somebody could go visit, you could visit Callaway Gardens and
Yeah,
get some
free
financial
parking,
wellness
free
information.
everything, free, free, free. So,
Okay, listen, at
no,
no
no
cost
charge
to
to go
you.
through. No, no, yeah, there it goes. No cost to you. I love that. Yeah, see, there I go again. Absolutely, no cost to you to attend.
Yeah, so hey, Pine Mountain, you think, ooh, Pine Mountain. No, that's Callaway Gardens. So you'll get a chance to visit Callaway Garden at no cost to you and learn more about what Nathan's been talking about today. So I just wanted to make sure we told you we was going to share that. We'll make sure that's up on our social media information as well tomorrow and everywhere else. And so I want to make sure that was touched on. And then I wanted to remind everybody about the event in August, which you should register now at Summer Symposium, Twice the Risk, Living Well with Alzheimer's or Related Dementia for people of color. This is, and also there's going to be, this is in Covington, Georgia, not far. And at 9 a.m., it's kind of early for 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Again, it's no cost to you. And I like that. You done taught me something new there. And so what you want to do is you don't want to miss out on this opportunity to learn about early detection, about dementia diagnosis and things like that. And so there's a QR code there you can scan to register. But also some exciting news is there's the screening, a special documentary screening of Mama, Where Are You Going? That goes along, it accompanies my book, Mama, Where You Going? So there is a documentary that C. Nathaniel Brown, he is an award-winning writer, producer, movie maker, and he is working on a documentary on my behalf. So together we're working on this documentary, and so you'll see that at this event. So we're going to have the Alzheimer's Association there. We're going to have the Global Alzheimer's program there. And again, there's food. So that's why we want you to register because there is food. And they're asking, they want to know how many people. So the only reason why you're registering, so we'll make sure we have enough food for you. So it'll be a light breakfast. And then you'll get to see the documentary and a panel of discussion of Emory doctors will be there as well. So please come out to the St. Paul AME Church at 13108 Brownbridge Road, Covington, Georgia, 30016.
That documentary was very well received. That's where I met Dr. McCrae at in Columbus. They were showing that documentary. Very powerful, and the audience were very well received.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes, that was the Remember Me. And we were in that documentary, my brother, myself, Linda Michelle, and some of us. So he is create a second documentary
Interesting.
around my story and so I actually wrote a book and he's actually written helped me to create a documentary around my book that I've written called Mama, Where Are You Going?
Powerful.
So I'm so super excited about that. And so that's all I wanted to share today. Of course, you can reach out and contact us at Without Trace Ministries, and you can go to WATMcares.org. WATMcares.org. We have a respite scholarship for care partners. There's so much on our website, different programs for people with cancer, not just dementia. Other, if you have other needs, you're saying, well, what about people that don't have dementia? There's cancer care, there's domestic violence care, there's neighbors in need. So there's a program for you at WATM Cares. And so Nathan, we look forward to having you next week. I can't wait to hear
Yes, me
what you're
too.
going to bring. So we want to just,
Absolutely.
if it's okay, I want to pray for those who are on with us and then we'll let everyone go. So we just want to say, Lord, thank you so much for how you are moving across this ministry and you are helping us with people like Nathan change our language, change the way we do business, change the way we handle and manage our finances and our medical care. And so, Lord, we thank you for Nathan. Bless him. Thank you for SMPs everywhere. Lord, we just thank you for the freedom that this gave us today to have knowledge is power. And we thank you, Lord, that the vision for this ministry came alive today because we enlighten and empower people to be free, Lord, one home at a time. And so, Lord, we ask that you touch those with dementia and their care partners and let them know that they have help through Without a Trace Ministries and through SMPs. We will be there to help them because WATM cares. Thank you, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. Well, Nathan, we'll see you next week, same time, same channel. Have a good
Absolutely.
night.
Talk then.